from Ireland after being ousted by the Anglican Church of Ireland because he was gay. Most of his life in Ireland had been difficult because it was illegal to be LGBT. Arriving in Los Angeles in 1982, Albert quickly became involved in the LGBT community. Since then, there are not many LGBT organizations where Albert has not left his mark. In 1983, he became the active executive director of the Gay and Lesbian Community Center in Los Angeles. He acquired the first ever state funding for LGBT youth in 1985. He fought and obtained the first HIV testing site, assuring everyone would be entitled to HIV testing and counseling. As the first director of planning and development for the AIDS Project of Los Angeles, Albert designed the first comprehensive AIDS service plan for LA and the state of California in 1986. The AIDS Service Center celebrated 25 years this year and now serves an eighth of LA County. While Albert served as executive director of the AIDS Service Center, he was also the first openly gay priest at All Saints Church in Pasadena, California. This began his mission of bridging the spiritual and the political communities. He has been a long-lasting bridge. This past June, Albert celebrated 35 years as an openly gay religious leader. Of course, many of us know Albert from his work as Major Gifts Officer of Equality California in 2010. He coordinated 3 major award events here in San Diego and has worked with Joyce and Pam on their first 2 garden parties. Albert continues to work closely with Equality California board members. In 2011, like he hasn't done enough already, in 2011, Albert started St. Paul's Foundation for International Reconciliation, which he serves as president. Albert is someone who takes action to bridge the divides between spiritual and the political, and between the LGBT community and those who want to marginalize us. Oh, I was not going to do this. It gives me great pride to present the Pride in Action Award to the Reverend Canon Albert Ogle.
He's gonna cry too.
Wow, this is amazing to see so many friends here. And Denice, you're making me cry now. But thank you so much, and it's wonderful to be back in the home of Joyce and Pam. And this garden party that only just started 4 years ago has grown enormously. So thank you for all your support. And thank you for this wonderful award. So many of you share in this. So many of you have helped us in Equality California in our work locally and globally. And a garden is an apt image for me because as a gay man living in Ireland where it was illegal to be gay, we are faced with 2 choices. Often to reject the faith community, the culture, the ground, the soil from which everything grows. And we spend the rest of our lives pulling out the weeds. or the other choice is to make a commitment to change the soil from which everything grows. And my commitment to changing the soil led me to the priesthood. And it has continuously led me on since, including bringing me to Equality California as part of a wonderful development team working here in Southern California. My time spent working with Equality California was not long in its span, but its impact is beyond measure in my personal life. What I learned during my time working with this wonderful group of people is that equality knows no boundaries, and it has no limits. The influence of California as a state goes beyond our borders and beyond the borders of the United States. To people around the world, California is almost a state of mind. Look at the beauty of our surroundings here. And nearby we have beaches and mountains. It is an exquisite place, a land of freedom, a land of possibilities. It seems limitless. It was the freedom to be myself that brought me here from Ireland. And my partner, I just want to acknowledge my partner, Mile Petrov, who's also came from a country where it was illegal to be gay, from Macedonia. Mile, thank you so much for your love and support.
Finally, I get it.
There's also the reality of California, the California with unequal rights, the California that needs the good work of Equality California. And those good works must continue to be supported, because whether or not we are aware, whether or what we do here sets an example for the rest of the country and indeed the world. And the phrase that rings true for me is to think globally but act locally. People around the world do not have the resources and the alliances that we have here in California. I saw that firsthand. I spent 2 weeks with Bishop Christopher Senyoyo in Kampala, Uganda. He's 81 years old. Some of you, he was here at this party last year. An amazing person who's been persecuted by his church for welcoming LGBT people into his center. And I had 2 weeks unpaid leave from Equality California, and I realized that I needed to help this man. Because he actually, his title, the Reconciliation and Equality Center, he had a conversation with Jeff Coors at this very party, and he built into his center in Kampala the same words of Equality California. So we inspired something profound, and a place where people are killed and imprisoned because of who they are. Now in my role as president of the St. Paul's Foundation, I am working for global equality, receiving grants and funding to work with LGBT people who have been criminalized in their countries simply because of who they are. 76 countries where it is illegal to be LGBT. And we here in California and throughout the United States must not be complacent about their longing for equality. There are extremists who hide behind what they call religion, who would like to see the US be the 77th country where being LGBT is illegal. These are the same people who are exporting homophobia, often in the name of God, to other parts of the world. And we must stop that. Uganda is probably the most famous place with the anti-gay bill. It is a focal point for their work, and thus our efforts for global equality must strengthen the work going on in Uganda and other places. Unfortunately, there are courageous men and women who are standing up and fighting not just for their rights, but for their very lives. The theme of this year's San Francisco Pride Parade was global equality. And it was wonderful to be in the city. And people were abuzz with what this meant. Usually Pride themes are pretty innocuous, but the city really engaged this. And Bishop Christopher was honored as the Grand Marshal this year. We have recently hired in the St. Paul's Foundation a young transgender person who was tortured in Uganda by the government, who is now living and working here. This year, I also helped to raise the funds to bring 26 people from those same 76 countries where it's illegal to be gay to the World AIDS Conference in Washington. 25,000 people came. It is often illegal to provide HIV services if you're LGBT in these countries. So it was really important for those authentic witnesses to be present and engage our Congress, to engage the World Bank, to engage the faith community in Washington. They attended, they were here for 2 whole weeks, and it was wonderful. These, you know, I was in a room with some of the most courageous people I've ever met in my whole life. And they looked to California, and they looked to you and to me as examples of hope. International activists who are concerned about the intersection of faith and rights, health and services. So there are many bridges between faith and LGBT rights, and more bridges are being built each year. This past July, the House of Bishops in my own Episcopal church not only approved a right for same-sex unions, but they cleared the way for ordaining transgender clergy. And it's largely because of the work that you're all doing that this is happening, the little incremental steps that we're taking. And I believe that equality is inevitable, but we must continue to change the soil in our own gardens. The work that Dr. Tremblay is doing, it was wonderful, Joel, to be at HRC dinner last week, and the place was packed, and your team did a great job. You know, it's wonderful to see the work that the San Diego Unified School District is doing, and that Bill is doing, and GLSEN and the many groups that are here today. We have to end the bullying at a local level, on a global level. We have to end the harassment. We have to end the intimidation so that people can be free, people can enjoy the rights that so many of us take for granted. The work each of us does to bring equality to California and globally helps to yield a garden of rich beauty and diversity. Thank you so much for this honor and for encouraging me and all of us to go further in our commitment to equality. Thank you so much.